Welcome to the Rise CareerWise Get Hired Summit, everyone. We have with us Kavita Taragi, and Kavita is a firebrand person. That's all I've heard about her even before I had met her, I think now almost 3 years ago. And she's at the helm of affairs at Chitkara University, heading everything to do with placements, relationships with the corporates, and she has a lot of pointers to share from our side, which is the candidate side also, and perhaps also a few things for the HR to bridge that gap. So let's hear it from Kavita. Thank you so much, Kavita, for making it for the summit.
Oh, thank you so much, Vinny, and thank you for the most flattering introduction. And I hope I can live up to the introduction that you've given of me.
Oh, you have been, I'm very sure. So tell us a little bit about yourself and also what goes on into these placement drives. Like, if you can just sort of simplify the whole picture for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And about myself, I have been associated with Chitkara University, the pro vice chancellor there, and I've been with them for last about 14 years. So it's been quite a lifetime with them. In fact, when the first batch of the students were graduating and they were coming of age, that's when I joined the university, and it's been a wonderful journey ever since. Learned a lot along the way, and placements, I think, are one of the strongest pillars that any education institute is based on and identified with. And I am hugely passionate about this because placement is not about placing a student, the student graduating, you bringing the company in, and there he gets an offer. No, it isn't like that. It begins with establishing an association and nurturing that association with the industry, staying in sync and connecting with them, making them understand the honesty, sincerity that you bring on the table for them. They have to see value in you. And value is not if it's a bad year, the students have not performed well and they get disappointed with you and they break off relationships. It isn't like that. They have to understand you come in from a space of total honesty, sincerity, and a lot of hard work, and that's how it builds on, and the placements go on year and year and year. And placements have undergone a huge change. What placements were 10 years back, 12 years back, today the placements are 365 days effort. There is a placement or an internship or some kind of activity going on each day of the year. So that means the effort from our end just goes on 365 days, because you have to continuously be with the industry, understand the trends that are moving, and actually being a step forward, because you have to be talking about getting your students ready 3 years 4 years down the line. It's not what you want today, but what has to happen. So it's very complex, but exceedingly interesting and hugely gratifying.
That's lovely. That's really lovely. What do these candidates, and also what do you advise to the candidates? All right, what are their considerations when they are looking for a job? And it's not about just, hey, there's a placement drive and I got my first job, right? What triggers a candidate to finally also accept an offer, and what are the parameters they look at for an organization to be able to attract them and also keep them? So that's the one thing. And what in your experiences are the factors that also determine why they may not take up a really great job in a really great reputed organization?
Yes, Vinny, that's a very interesting one. And a lot of times we get asked this question. What my experience has shown, and I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about 2 to 3 years back. Let's talk about 3 years back, the trends that are happening. So, what the students are looking at are purely job profile. A job profile, and now of course I'm seeing the shift because it's going to be location also. So it's profile driven and it is location driven. These are the two factors. And surprisingly, earlier it would be a very well established company and the students blindly would join it. No more. A company which comes in, a startup company which comes in just with 2 years of being, and the students want to join that because the job profile that has been offered is very exciting, and the growth that they see. Now growth, from the freshers perspective, they are not looking at 5 years down the line, they are looking at 2 to 3 years growth down the line. And that has to be exciting. And even if the package is less, they will still join an organization which gives them the job profile has to be exciting and niche. So if the student, if he is passionate about coding, he is going to join only a role which offers him coding no matter what. You can have Googles and Cisco's, and I don't undermining them, but what I mean, any the largest of names can come. They will still want to take in the core jobs what they have trained on in 3 years. So this trend I'm seeing, it's been for a while. So they actually we've had students and actually declining offers which are 12 lakhs or 10 lakhs, and with great companies, because but they feel I'm just going to be one of the so many working in the organization. I want to be the one. I want to join a startup which has say 100 people, but I want to be part of that. And so what if offers me less, but look at the kind of learnings I'm going to get, and 3 years down the line I can conquer the world. So these are profile. And now, of course, with COVID times, definitely location is playing a huge role, because that's where the parents come.
Interesting. And what have you learned from the forced experiment, or, or sadly the pandemic that we are in the middle of, in terms of focus and faster decisions? Because I think there's a word beyond adaptability and agility now, right? We are going to have to take faster decisions. What has been your experience and what have you learned from this?
Oh my God, Vinny, learnings, I don't know. They started and we still feel, we are floundering and learning and learning. I don't know when we are going to get absolute expertise on that, but definitely. So the one thing, at least we have learned is, hybridization and the best of both worlds. So we are looking at an online world and we are looking at an offline world. And we are finding new ways of, collaborating, acceleration of digital and analytics, adaptability, obviously, resilience, sure, you would be knowing that, Vinny. Agility, organization, rethinking. Believe you me, we've just realized, it's not a brick and mortar world any longer. It's just going to be a very online world, and investments have to be we have to be doing on technology big time. Maybe all that fancy infrastructure that especially I'm talking private universities would boast about. I think they're going to be passe, and it's just going to be investing on technology. And it's going to be a very different world, and we have started doing that. So like we have created a lot of we've created studios on campus. Otherwise we would invest on huge labs and all. Now we are investing on huge studios, because all those we're doing a lot of webinars, the students are being inducted, classes are going online, so that is the need of the day. So that has been, my God, huge focus and huge learning for us, and we're still learning, of course. Yeah, hopefully we are going to get an expertise on that. Yeah.
Nice. So hybridization it is, and very exciting. You literally painted a picture where now I'm thinking that instead of those crazy, amazing campuses, which I felt deprived of growing up because we didn't have them at the time, now I'm thinking, hey, maybe it's time to go back to school in a year's time and then experience everything in virtual reality. So, tell me, what are the adaptations you have made, or universities in general are making in these all in these really highest of all uncertain times, to promote recruitment remotely and to make that happen? You just told me that placements are happening and it's going great and it's encouraging. So what are the adaptations you've had to make to facilitate that?
Yes, and everybody's talking about VUCA. Everybody's talking about such a negative acronym. Pandemic times, and all the nonsense of volatility and uncertainty and complexity and ambiguity. And obviously, you have to find a way out, and you still find positivity in that. And naturally, we bring it down to something very positive and talk about vision and understanding and clarity and agility. And actually, we are practicing this. When I talk about vision, we talk about the brand vision. Where do you see your brand 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line? And this is the point of time we are actually doing a lot of introspection. Understanding. For us, our understanding is understanding our three stakeholders: students, faculty, and parents, and working in sync with them. Especially, tough times have brought us these three stakeholders really closer together. So there's a huge understanding in the three stakeholders. Then we talk about clarity. Yeah, clarity. Clarity is on ground. Where are we in terms of business, in terms of a competition? Where are we? That's huge clarity that we have gotten. Where does a business stand today? And you have to be agile. How we have totally reinvented the wheel. As we're seeing day one, the minute the lockdown started, we were like online with our classes. Our faculty was out there. They just had a refresher training program we did for the faculty, and they were out there without any kind of a hassle, without any kind of a challenge, and then counseling the students also. Hey guys, this is the new normal. Get in sync with it. And so that is the agility. So I think. We've done very well. And as I was before the session, I was speaking with you in terms of placements. I never thought it's going to be such an encouraging scenario. We've had amazing offers happening, and students have been given the opportunity to, they've been inducted, they're working from home, and all the laptops, etc., all the goodies which the organizations would give them, they've been couriered to them in the house, and they're working. So it's, I think we have used it so fantastic, the whole, this process of movement. So I think it's been huge learning and very, very encouraging. I think if we can face this with 10,000, 12,000 students on campus, Vinny, we can do anything.
So it's just about redefining VUCA as vision,
And
understanding, clarity, and agility. Very nice. Tell
absolutely.
me, we've spoken of placements, but what are the three key places that one could look for that you particularly feel are really good places that one could look for a job if they haven't been recruited in the placement drives?
I know, true, because a lot of students come to us, and especially students of the graduating year who've still not gotten placements, and they're constantly. So we are helping them. So that is the way we help them. Obviously, we are talking about, there's LinkedIn, and there is off-campus clubs like Toastmasters clubs. They should be over there. Then staying active. Of course, all students are active on some network or the other. So they need to get hugely more active there. And focusing on company websites. And there are lots of opportunities out there. We have actually forwarded a lot of opportunities to our students who haven't yet gotten a placement through all these. We've done that. And, it's like, there are lots of online job posting portals. They need to be out there. And believe you me, students are hugely active on that. They're very, very active on that. And we are also out there, and we forward a lot of profiles to our students. And they themselves also. And a lot of times they find something and they discuss it with us. But everything is out there online. Yeah.
Okay. And then, but if you had to narrow it down, because sometimes it goes so broad that I guess they even forget to check where all they have been and where the post could be. You think LinkedIn, you said Toastmasters is good
LinkedIn,
and company
Toastmasters,
websites.
very good. Yeah, company website, they're their portals for sure. And a lot of times we've seen a lot of companies who have not traditionally come to the campus, say last year, who did not come, and because they normally come, say, in February, March, but they did not come, the pandemic happened. So these are the companies that we identify and we share with the students, because they have huge requirements, and everything, they have huge requirements. So it's very good, and you'll be surprised how forthcoming and is the companies. They have huge requirements. We get all the time, requests for all the, for the graduating, the students who are graduating this year. I'm not even talking about 21, I'm talking about the 1920, the graduating students of 20. So we get a lot of there's a lot out there.
Okay, lovely and comforting, very, very comforting. Kavita, now I have questions for you from the audience, and I think these
Great.
are most relevant for you to answer. Uh, First, what are the things that one should focus on when they are making their resume?
Yeah, this is something we struggle with our own students all the time, and constantly trying to educate them on the relevance of the resume, because resume is what you carry, a hard copy of your DNA, literally, when you go for an interview. So what we tell them is that Resume should be a very functional format or one page. This is purely from a fresher's perspective that I'm talking about, because it doesn't have to be. At times, students think of using flowery jargons. They get caught in that web of using flowery jargons because they cannot quantify it in a verbal dialogue to what they have written out there. So we always tell them, whatever you're mentioning, you have to have quantify it with a verbal dialogue, and not because it's seeming very good, it's sounding cool, and your pal has written it. I do skateboarding and I do skiing, and you've never stepped out of Chandigarh, and I'm just giving you an example. We have this one pager, neat, clean, simple English. Don't use too much of jargon, and it should be honest. It should be something, each word you have to identify with. Each word you should be able to vocalize it and have a verbal dialogue on. This is what we always tell them. This is what works all the time. And you'll not believe it. There are times when we get resumes, and in one glance, I'm able to tell the students, listen, with this resume, you are out there with this resume, you can't make it, because you're just being so silly and foolish about the whole thing, because it's cut, copy, paste. It's sounding very exciting, and there's so much material out there, available. So they try to put in each line, each word, which just doesn't quantify with what they are. So quantify, keep it simple.
Fabulous, brilliant. And how can a candidate stand out? And this is so pertinent for you to answer. How can I stand out when there are so many candidates out there?
This is, I think your choice of questions, Vinny, I must compliment you, are just like you nailed it, because this is all the time we are dealing with these questions, and I'm super impressed by your choice of questions. Yeah. So one thing which we always tell our students is you need to develop talent magnet status. Now, talent magnet status is something which comes with confidence, and confidence comes with your subject knowledge. If you have knowledge, subject knowledge will give you a confidence, and your complete body language is different. There are times in an auditorium we are sitting seeing 500 students sit there, and actually me and my team, we say, and we pinpoint. It's a kind of a guess game that we do, and we pinpointed, and we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 guys. These are the guys sure shot, and I have no idea about their academic credentials or how they've performed online. And believe you me, it is more often than not absolutely bang on, because it is the subject knowledge is what gives you, I know it gives you that mood. So that is what talent magnet status is all about. And besides that, of course, and a person who has got knowledge of subject will ask relevant questions, will look confident. He'll not be looking shifty, he'll not be looking left, right, center, and trying to make up a question, because even if he's asking a question, and there are a lot of times students are asking a question which are just cut, copy, paste, and they've just picked out a question from the website, and but the interviewer is a smarter person out there, so he will get you in a dialogue which you'll not be able to support with, because you have no idea about, you've got no knowledge, subject knowledge. So this is what we tell them, guys, from day one. It's all about subject knowledge. We show a lot of these videos to our students, and we tell them, so this is where you guys make a faux pas, and this is where you get caught in your own web. So definitely talent magnet status, and that comes only with subject knowledge.
Lovely. I'm going to remember that. Talent, magnet, and status. Very interesting. So now we are going to get into another interesting round. I call it a
Okay.
quick hire and fire round.
Oh,
So,
cool.
and which will have literally one line answers. So first one is, what quality of a candidate, when you see them, is a sure shot hit, like definite hire?
Look in the eye, straightforward attitude.
Wow. Okay. And what
Absolutely.
quality is a sure shot miss, like surefire?
Absolutely. Total flip side, droopy attitude. Eyes down, droopy attitude. Anybody who walks in, there's no way. There's a no, no, absolutely.
Interesting. And what is your favorite interview question?
Well, this is interesting because it's you get a lot of insight into a person, and I always ask them that, given the choice, would you change your name and why?
Wow, that's
Uh,
really new. I haven't heard of this one before.
Yes, and you will not believe it. It gets you amazing insight. And a lot of them get flipped out and they get like, and the smarter ones just come out of it so well. It's so interesting because they are expecting you to ask something, oh, so related to campus, so related to job, and you just, what so much of insight you get into the person.
Amazing, brilliant. It's so beautiful that I've done this whole summit, and while the whole idea was to tap into all your minds, right? And with all this pool of knowledge you have, I think I've really got my own little PhD with the summit, with all the fabulous insights that I've got. And this has been amazing. One last question before we go. If you had to give one advice to any job aspirant, whoever's talking to you, somebody who's even looking to change a job, not just from the university, what is that one advice you would give them at a time like this?
Absolutely. It's just leave it with a KISS, leave it with a kiss, and just keep it simple and straightforward. If you're simple and straightforward and you need to own your day, you need to own your life. You have to be straightforward in your dealings, in your interviews. You cannot fool the person sitting across you. If you go with the attitude that you're going to be fooling, you don't do that. So keep it simple, straightforward, own it. You can never fault in life ever. And this is something with personal experience I've seen.
For sure, Kavita, 'cause you have kept it simple and straightforward, and it has been lovely having you on this session. Thank
Thank you so much, Vinny. A pleasure. I'm so glad you called me. Thank you.